Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Reva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Yapi Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. So we saw Bhagavan is telling us what is the paths by which, or practices that we can do to be able to create a stronger connection with that divinity. Also, to be able to create a connection with someone, there has to be understanding of that person, that, in this case, entity. And so we saw he has been explaining also, he is the father, he is the grandfather, he is the cause, he is the causeless cause, he is the essence in all things. And now that continues in verse number 18. Did we chant 18 yesterday? No. Yeah, so we start with 18. Gatir bharta prabhu sakshi nivasa sharanam sukrita prabhava pralaya stanam nidhanam bijam avyayam. These are all pointers helping us to train our mind to be able to lift it to understanding Bhagavan in this formless way, and not as in a murti or in terms of characteristics, but in terms of something that is far more expansive. And so, gatir, which is the goal, support. And this is going to be repeated in the next verse, Bharta. Prabhu. The translation of Prabhu is Lord, but it sounds so much sweeter when you say Prabhu. Sakshi. In terms of our meditation, when we are striving to quieten the mind, we've trained to witness our thoughts. And so that witness, which stays unaffected, is that Prabhu, that Bharta, that Gati. And then to make it a little bit more personal, Sukrita, friend. And shelter, our Sharanam. And then once again, zooming out, that Prabhava, the origin, the first, Pralaya, dissolution. And so all of the different aspects of creation. Nidhanam is the treasure house. And lastly, Bijam, avyayam. That the very seed from which all of creation comes forth, and then avyayam, yet at the same time, imperishable. And so here Bhagavan's referring to saguna and nirguna both. So let me explain that a little bit. When we think of divinity, divinity in its highest, truest form is nirguna. There's no quality, there's no defining aspect, no descriptions. But in terms of nirguna, so the word here, avyaya, is there's no change. It stays always that essence. There's no modification, there's no fluctuations, there's no intensity, like little bit more one day and little bit less the next day. And whereas we'll feel those little bit ups and downs. Some days I'm happier, some days I'm more peaceful, some days it's less. And avyayam is that there's none of this toing and froing. It remains incredibly steady. And then there's the saguna aspect of Bhagavan, where we superimpose characteristics to be able to relate. And so here, Sukran, that friend, the shelter. And so many stories, when we think of Bhagavan as our refuge, then so many stories of that devotees and their surrender. Or Bhagavan as a friend, again, so many stories we hear in the Puranas. And then we feel close. So first, we use saguna to feel close, and the closer we feel, it just naturally evolves. And initially, when we have a very close relationship with someone, we need to constantly meet them. And we need to stay in touch. There's discussion, there's exchange. But the deeper the relationship gets, then sometimes you're even sitting with each other but not speaking. And there's just that absolute peacefulness of you are there and I am here and that's fine. And then even the deeper the relationship gets, if that person's off somewhere, we still feel incredibly connected without having to be together. And so that's just a natural evolution of the deeper our love gets, the stronger the connection gets, and the less we need the support. And so our spiritual journey too, initially we need the support of thinking of Bhagavan as a friend, of thinking of Bhagavan as looking after me and protecting me and the creator of the universe and powerful and giving and compassionate. But the deeper we settle into the essence and that absolute faith, the more we start to see that Bhagavan is just far more pervasive and not as, there's no characteristic such that's very distinct. It's more something that is subtle and more something that is pervasive. And so both descriptions are given in this verse. But the one that he starts with, and usually this is a technique in the scriptures, whatever's said first is the most important. And so here, I am the gati, I am the goal. And so in terms of Bhakti Shastra, we've seen this connection to Bhagavan. Why create connection? Why have this relationship? Why try and understand? Because it's our goal. There is we as individuals would feel sometimes like we just, in like those revolving doors. And sometimes kids love it playing in those revolving doors, and you're just going round and round and round. Sometimes life can feel like that. It can feel like, and time has passed, and again we're doing the same thing, and the same people, and sometimes we even having that same conversation. Whether it be some social conversation or, we've had a disagreement and now again that same fight that we're having. And so there's this repeat, this loop that we find ourselves in. Or the other description we find is that, we're getting tossed. Like we feel like we're not in control. Suddenly now there's stress because this has happened and somebody's health and my health and then something else will happen and then I have to leave the country, I have to go here, I have to look after this, I have to do, and then something else will happen and then I have to come back home and then there's renovations and there's repair and there's this and then something else will happen and then I'm back in the hospital and I'm looking at, and I feel like I'm just being tossed, thrown, pulled in every direction. That's where that ocean of samsara, the waves are just tossing us around. And so sometimes we can feel like, is this life? Like this, it seems so random or it feels so purposeless. And so Bhagavan makes it very clear, there's a goal. So if there's a goal, then there has to be a path. So it's not random, it's not helter-skelter, it's not me going in circles, it's not me being tossed around. I have a very distinct path to walk, to reach this goal. And what's the goal? Bhagavan. And if we keep remembering this, in management techniques, when you do these management workshops or these self-help developmental workshops, and I know because as a psychology when we'd run them, something like 2 hours would be spent on sit and set your goals. Be clear on what it is you want, because once you set your goal, then you will work towards it. And then most of you would have already been familiar with this. There you set your long-term goal, and then you set your short-term goals. So, if in the business world you want to make $1 million, that's too little. How much is enough? How much is enough? Tell me quickly. It's never enough. Okay, so I want to make $1 billion. Okay, chalo, fine, that's the goal. Then, how long will it take to make that, realistically speaking? 10 years? 10 years is realistic? Please, money is not my forte. You all have to tell me. 5 years, 10 years, what is it? Okay, let's say it'll be very ambitious. 5 years. We're going to make $10 billion. Then what's my short-term goals? Then I have to get the client, or I have to finish the project, or I have to be able to get these assets. I have to meet the right people. And so then I set the short-term goals. So by year number 1, I should have made 200,000, or I should... And then the next, and then by 4 years I should have made this much, and then by 5 years I should be able to reach my goal. So we have these short-term goals. Even if it's something not as drastic, I want to lose 10 kilos. Then again, short-term goals. In the next 2 months I should lose 1, half, whatever. You'll understood. If Bhagavan is my goal, then what would be my short-term goals? If my long-term goal is very clear, Bhagavan, I have to reach Bhagavan, then what's my short-term goals? And then I have to accomplish them. And please don't take this the wrong way. It's beautiful if you're going. So much excitement now. People are introducing me to other people saying they're going to Kumbh. Please go. Please enjoy. It's beautiful to go for yatras. It's beautiful to go for satsang. What have we accomplished in that? How has that taken me closer to my goal? If I just go, like I said the other day, to take Instagram pictures, I have not gotten any closer to my goal. So then and that's the point of having a goal, that we have to work towards it. And the goal means it's I want. If somebody else sets my goals, it doesn't happen. Like when parents set the goal for the kids, nothing happens. Parents say you have to get A star, and the kid is like, you get. It has to be the kid's goal. Now, I remember when I was much younger, in high school in South Africa, we used to get exams already In primary school, we used to write exams. So I was in South Africa in primary school. And so my sister would set a timetable for us. My sister's very sweet. She was really trying to support me to get better marks because, as you can tell, I wasn't getting very good ones. So she set the timetable. This many hours we will study and then we can have a break. So I would say yes. And then I'd sit in front of her and my book would be open. I wasn't studying. It wasn't my timetable. Because even if I'm sitting with my book open, my mind can go anywhere. I remember when I reached university and I myself wanted to learn. And the amount of attention I paid when I was reading. And I would remember, and I would be able to source things. I'd spend hours in the library. My sister was worried. What happened to my sister? Because otherwise, when it was her setting the goals, I was daydreaming. And it made no difference to the marks. It has to be our goal. And so Bhagavan is reminding us, I'm your goal. Maybe you've forgotten I'm your goal. And maybe you don't think I'm your goal, but I'm your goal. And if Bhagavan's our goal, I come back to the first question I asked. What are our short-term goals? It would be my faith. Does my faith waver? Then to make my faith steady. And what does Bhagavan say our short-term goals should be? Vairagya. Vairagya is detachment. So, with things in the world. I remember once Guruji was saying, by age, I can't remember exactly, I'm just going to throw things out there. 40, we should stop sweets. By 50, you should stop all the snacky things. By 60, you stop achar and sour. By 70, you stop. And I've watched him over the years. He's done it. What is this? Vairagya. It's not saying don't enjoy. It's saying know when you're going to stop. Know when you're going to be ready to give it up. Tell yourself, set the goal. After this age, this indulgence is not needed anymore. And if I set it as a goal, I'm building my Vairagya. And then with food, easy. You go, well, yeah. But children, once they married, leave them alone. Set it as a goal. Once they adults, I no longer need to tell them, have you eaten? Did you sleep? Take your supplements. Vairagya has to come. Otherwise, Bhagavan's my goal, the short-term goal has to be Vairagya. There has to be goals that I'm setting for myself. How withdraw? But not just physically withdraw, here, let go. Gati. It's such an important word and I focused on it because now he continues. And explaining here that Bhagavan has given us this life and given us full choice on how we live our lives, because he's given us this description that those who have faith in me, those who don't have faith in me, so he's given us choice, whether we do or not. But certain things is still in his control, and those are tapabhyam aham varsham amritam chaiva mrityascha. So in our lives, in our everyday actions, we have full choice. But in the total and in the collective, it's still Bhagavan's choice. And so here we go back to Saguna. We think of Prabhu as Ishvara concept. Ishvara is controlling the world, creating the world, maintaining the world. And this is the explanation given is, I am the heat of the sun that then controls, well, so much actually. The heat of the sun controls so much. It controls the plant life, it controls ecosystems, it controls our food, and then it controls, the second thing is rain. Rain again, and today it's raining. Considered to be blessing. And rain is considered a blessing because, very, very obviously, it's how we get our food. It's as simple as that. Without rain, we don't get food. So if it rains, blessing. Because we know fun when we're hungry. But also, rain cleanses. But even more importantly, for rain to happen, there is letting go. The ocean lets go of the water to become vapor. Vapor lets go of it as being vapor to become the cloud. The cloud lets go of being a cloud for us to have rain. Rain falls on this earth, and the earth also doesn't hold it, gives it to the plants, the rivers, the lakes, and back to the ocean. Rain is considered a blessing because rain is the ultimate symbol of constantly letting go, constantly giving. And so letting the next stage happen. If we too let go of our youth, let go of our, whatever it is that we do have to let go to the next stage of our journey. So Bhagavan says this is also me, that's physical rain, but also we experience this in our life as His grace. And then here very clearly, I alone am death. I am existence and non-existence. And so here, even today somebody asked me, when you say it was meant to be, does that mean we don't have choice? We have plenty choice. Before it happens, we don't know. We have choice. But there are certain things meant to be, like death. Maybe it's the only one. In our lives, depending on our charts, there'll be a few others, but we won't know what they are. And since we don't know what they are, no need to ask any astrologer also, do your best. Just keep doing your best because there's so many things we can change. And what other things we can't change, we won't know. So just keep doing best. And then accepting. After doing best, accepting. So, in so many ways, it's such a asset to have this conviction. Because sometimes when death comes, we can have so much guilt. I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have. And sometimes when death comes, there's so much blame. You should have done. But with something like death, we just have to grieve and know that it's in His hands. And if it's in His hands, He decided. I accept. I'll miss. I'll most certainly miss. But the missing is okay. The blame and the guilt, that's very painful. Even the missing can be painful, I understand. But blame and guilt is too painful. And so that surrender here, that this is in your hands, Bhagavan. This bit's not in my hands. So here he says that he has kept control of certain things. And yet the principle is we have control of our minds, our body, our speech, to some extent, right? Even our body, some extent, we don't have control, but to some extent, we have control. We definitely have control over our speech. Again, unless there's a physical limitation, we have control. And we have full control of our mind. Body maybe not because of some health element, but mind we have full control over. And what do we not have control over? Totality. There Bhagavan's very clear that I am controlling. And that we accept. So if something's that I can control it. What's beyond my control, which is totality, I accept. Also this was sometimes is important for us to remember. So he's given us freedom and I can control myself. Then he's given every single person freedom for them to control themselves. And he doesn't take away my freedom to control myself. Then will he let me take away your freedom to control yourself? So can I control you? Of course not. No matter what I say in these 5 days, you'll do what you want to do. More importantly, can you control your spouse? Your kids? The helpers in the house? Why? Because Bhagavan gave us the gift of free will. It's his gift to us. When he doesn't take it away, he's not going to let us take it away from each other either. So what's in my control? So clear. What else? What is not in my control? Accept. That's a lot of things for us to accept. And one very important thing to control. The next two verses is often quoted. The tune changes because the meter's changed. Verse 20, start. Yagnirishtva sarvagatim praptayante te punyamasayatya sarendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan te tam bhoktva swargalokam vishalam Shine punye martya loka vishanti evam gata gatam kama kamana. So earlier Bhagavan gave this distinction between those who deny my existence, then they have vain hopes, vain desires, vain actions. And this is a continuation of the people who choose that path. When we live our lives wanting to enjoy and making that our goal. And that's us, huh? It's not those people who choose to live their lives making their goal to enjoy. That's us. And we constantly planning next holiday, we constantly planning next meal. Oh my goodness, so much attention on the next meal and how tasty the next meal is going to be. And then maybe the next outfit, or maybe the next adventure, the next movie, we constantly planning what we're going to enjoy next. When that's the only goal we have, when we've forgotten that Bhagavan is the goal, and we pursue only the enjoyments, then those people who do punya go to heaven. Those people who do papa go to hell. Sometimes people don't realize that we have heaven and hell in Hinduism. We have heaven and hell in Hinduism. Sometimes people assume Hinduism believes in reincarnation, and so when we die, we get reincarnated. We do. But first, we go to hell and heaven. Why? So, if you think of every action has an equal and opposite reaction is the law of karma. Yeah? What constitutes an action? Physical movement with intention. Speech. Speech is considered action. And thought. Thought is considered an action. How many thoughts do you think in a day? Deepak Chopra counted 80,000, but I don't know how he counted. Chalo, let's believe him. That means you have 80,000 reactions a day. How long do we live? Can you imagine how many reactions are pending? How many lifetimes we'll have to live to finish all that karma? Cannot. Bhagavan is very efficient manager. He'll squish all the punya together, send you straight to heaven to enjoy for a couple of years. Punya finished in 5 years. To squish all your papa together, send you to hell to suffer for a couple of years. Depending on how much he has to squish, you will go accordingly to where you need to go. So it means in heaven only punya gets exhausted. In hell only papa gets exhausted. Then you still have plenty left, because remember, this isn't the only life you've lived other lives as well. And so all those are still pending, some of that is still pending, some from here is still pending. That's enough for you to choose your next life. So, many people wanting to enjoy heaven. Are you one of them? Let's check. In heaven, you never get old. Did you ever want that? In heaven, wait for it, you don't put on weight. Have you ever wanted that? I can eat whatever I want and not put on weight. In heaven, nobody ever gets sick. In heaven, there's no sorrow after the joy. We have wanted. We only desire it. So of course we'll go. We never desire hell. No, we don't. But sometimes we do things that create hell for us. Never mind after death, we do it here itself. We create hell for us here itself. Sometimes circumstances create hell for us. Either way. Then it might be I don't remember. So these people act so that they can go to heaven. One day of heaven, depending on which heaven you are, is 1 full year of our life here. 1 year, 1 day. So, how long they'll be there? Depending on how much punya they have. Also, we should know, there's different levels of heaven. For me, heaven is enjoy. Or for me, heaven is spend time with my family. There's different heavens. For me, heaven is satsang. There's a heaven. But doesn't matter how long you go there. 100 years in heaven would be how many years here? I already told you all yesterday, my math is no good. Huh? 1 year is 1 day there. So it will be 100 years, so easy. 1,000 years in heaven. But then the punya will finish, and then you have to come back here. This is called Bhuloka. This is the loka where you then have to earn more punya or incur more papa. That's never our goal. Papa is usually the side effect of our desires, our jealousies, our greed, our anger. It's never our goal. And so it's incur. But punya is earned. Doesn't matter how long we spend in heaven, we'll come back here. And if we solid mucked up this life, then we'll spend long in hell. But even then, we'll come back here. And we'll come back here, and it will start all over again. And so these two verses, Bhagavan is saying, this never-ending cycle. For those people who deny my existence and keep enjoyment as their goal, then they do this up and down. Not only birth, death, birth, death. Birth, heaven, hell. Sorry, death, heaven, hell, birth. Death, heaven, hell, birth. And this just keeps going on. Until when? Until we make Bhagavan our goal. Until we make Bhagavan our goal, we just keep in this revolving door. And we might think when we're sitting here, why would we want to do that? We find some joy. We hold on to things because we find some joy. Otherwise, we don't hold on. Something like, you would know a person like this. They have a helper that they have become incredibly dependent on. Now that helper will tantrum, will use bad language, will run away, will cause so much hamagama, and then when they come back asking for their job, sensible thing will be say, but because they've become so dependent, they say, why say yes when they trouble you so much? There's some joy. It has to be. Otherwise you wouldn't say yes to it. Then people complain non-stop about their jobs sometimes. But they're still there. Which means there's some joy. Sometimes people leave India and they go and live in some other country. They complain non-stop about the other country. Go back to India. No. If it was really that bad, they'd go back, right? Why do we hold on to suffering? Because there's some joy. So you are asking for hell along with heaven. And you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it. We only asking for the hell, or willing to endure that hell, so that we can also endure heaven. So these people end up living in vain. Whereas when Bhagavan is kept our goal, then this is one of the most beautiful verses of the entire Bhagavad Gita. If the Bhagavad Gita had a top 10, This would be in the top 5. Ananyas Ananyas, with no otherness, chintayasto mam, think of me, te janar paryupasate, those people who stay steady in this, with single-pointedly thinking of me. They have controlled their mind. And they have faith as they keep me as their goal. Then, yogakshemam vahamyaham. Aham, me, take care of their yogakshemam. So, Bhagavan is saying, yogakshemam is all those things that we have to acquire on an everyday basis for us to sustain ourselves. Plus, all those things that we have to maintain in our lives. So we have a house, we have to maintain it. Yeah? But food we have to acquire on a daily basis. Yeah? We have relationships, we have to maintain them. But some things we have to acquire. Somebody needs some specific job. This is leaking. Then you have to specific job, find that person for that. Yogakshemam is all those things I need to maintain that I already have, and all those things that I need to gain to be able to sustain myself. Bhagavan is saying, I will take care of it. If Nitya Yukta Upasate, if your mind is constantly engaged in my pursuit, means my mind is constantly engaged in the pursuit of Bhagavan. So now I'm not thinking I have to pay the taxes, I have to do the groceries, I'll make sure it gets done. I've seen this happen so many times. So many times. Bhagavan is taking care of all of us. Even Guruji will give the example that as babies, when we are born, we have to suck on the mother's milk, and so there's no teeth in the mouth because that would be painful for the mother. But we can't keep living on mother's milk, so at some point we need to start solids, and so the teeth start growing. And we don't make the teeth grow. And initially the teeth that grow are soft because it will hurt so much when it breaks through the gums of that tender young baby. Then when they're ready to eat more solid things, that milk teeth fall and the stronger teeth come, and we do no planning. Bhagavan did all that planning. He's already taking care of us. There's already saliva on our tongue, and the digestion starts the minute the food enters, and then all that digestion that keeps happening for all the 5 meals we keep eating every day. He's already looking after all of us. But he's not paying our taxes or doing our groceries. Sometimes even then he is. What will it depend on? How much I'm thinking about him. If I'm living a life pursuing my desires, you go live, pursue your desires. But if I think, no, not interested in that anymore, I'm interested only in you, he'll take care. He'll make it easy for you to sit and think about him. Any sattvic desire that we sincerely have, He fulfills. So many people will tell me they really wanted to go Kumbh. They're going. It was a sattvic desire. He'll help fulfill it. I wanted to study the Gita, and now you are here explaining it. Sattvic desire, he will fulfill. I wanted to do this puja, but I couldn't get, and then this happened, and then that happened, and then suddenly I could do it. Sattvic desire, he fulfills. And in this Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham, there's so many stories of great saints and sages in all over the world. And one of the cutest ones is of Tukaram Maharaj. You may or may not have heard this one of Tukaram Maharaj. Tukaram Maharaj was a very humble and didn't really have too much. He had a wife, he had the kids, and he was lost in the thought of Vittal. In Maharashtra, they refer to Bhagwan Krishna as Vittal. And thinking of Vittal Bhagwan, he would sometimes neglect the house. And so his wife would get so angry with him. Thinking of Vittal, sometimes he would forget about the kids. And then, of course, the wife would get even more angry with him. And so one day, because the zamindar there, this farmer thought, Vittal is, such a noble soul wanting to pray to Bhagwan, let's give him a job that he won't find difficult to do and he'll earn some money. So he said, the scarecrow aren't keeping the birds away. So you sit here and whenever the birds come, you shoo them away so that they don't eat up my whole crop. That was his only job. Now this doesn't require any great qualification. So Tukaram Maharaj is sitting and he's chanting Vittal, 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 and the birds come. Because that's their food, so of course they're going to come. He sees the birds and he thinks, but that's Vittal. Vittal has come. And then filled with so much love that Vittal has come, he doesn't shoo them away. In fact, he starts singing Vittal, 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 Vittal with even more. And days go, Almost 2-3 weeks goes like this, and the farmer is thinking he's doing his job. And so one day he comes to check, and what does he see? Not 1-2 birds sitting, because he's nicely singing and enjoying and inviting and saying Vittal and all the birds. There's so many birds, all nicely pecking at the grain. And so the farmer is furious. And the simplest job, I was trying to help you, your wife keeps scolding you, I was trying to give you a job so that you can bring income back to the family, and then very annoyed, sends him off. Of course without pay, because he didn't do his job. And then the farmer was also a very large-hearted person, so he said, okay, fine, you take these 2-3 sugar canes that are lying here, that's your pay. As he's walking through the town, some kids run up to him. He's holding a sugar cane. Can we have, give me please. He gave. So when he comes home, nothing. He has nothing. He's been fired. He's brought no home. He's got no money, no nothing. And of course the wife was so annoyed. She used to take the broomstick and beat him. Even that he used to say, Vittala, 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 Vittala. When the crops were harvested, the farmer realized he had double of what he had the previous year. And he remembered seeing Tukaram sitting there singing Vittala, Vittala, Vittala. The farmer was a noble person. He took 2 bags of rice. He didn't give it to Tukaram. He gave it directly to the wife. Every year after that, he'd call Tukaram. And he'd give the rice to the wife. Bhagavan says, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. He's not exaggerating. He's not exaggerating. You know, sometimes there's families and they're so poor. And then some health issue comes up. And sometimes these health issues, the medical bills are. And then I'm sure you've seen. Now they do this crowdfunding. They put a video and they ask, and it's genuine. You can see the child, you can see the person, you can see the illness, and they'll put the exact amount that's needed for the operation. And the money comes. And they have the operation. And there's usually little bit more. They're not well-to-do. They didn't have in their bank. But Bhagavan promises, if your mind's on me, I'll take care. So many stories, so many stories. Tukaram Maharaj actually lived, huh? It's not a made-up story. Even in Hong Kong, because people will tell me, you know, sometimes a husband dies very young and the husband's left with 2 kids to bring, and she's doesn't know how she's going to bring them up. Somebody will pay for the school fees, and somebody will give a house, and somebody will... And sure, it's not easy, but help comes. People come. Food comes. Food, though, we have seen. Food the easiest. Even when recently we went on this tour of Bombay, and they were talking about when all those bombings happened and people were stranded, right, at the Taj, at the Oberoi, we remember that they were all fed. They were stranded because of this terrorist attack. There was bombs, but food got to everyone. Like, how? And we know when it happened also, because of the ashram, so many stories, people made and just sent. Like, they don't know if they need or not. They just made and sent. And so these people who were trapped here, there, everywhere, all of them got food. Like, it was amazing. They themselves are telling the story, huh? They themselves are telling the stories. This has happened, well, not that recently, but recent enough. And not some Tukaram Maharaj that lived 500 years ago. This is recent. And Yoga Kshema Mahamyaham. Bhagavan is looking after, there's no doubt. But are we doing the first bit? Ananyas Chintayanto Maham. Have we made Bhagavan our goal? What is our goal? What do we want to have accomplished? By the time we die, what do we have want to accomplish? Moksha is the goal. If you actually want it, some of you may not want it. I remember when I first came out of the ashram and the first person who told me, I don't want moksha, I was like, what? What is wrong with you? You have to want moksha. Now I realize most people don't want moksha. Which is why Bhagavan uses the word muda. Okay, if you don't want moksha, what do you want to accomplish? Do you have a goal? Not a money one. Something in my personality. Because remember, short-term goal. If I don't want moksha this life, I should still walk in that right direction. Have I been practicing patience so that next life I already have patience? Have I been practicing forgiveness so I don't come back with 300 grudges? Have I been practicing discipline so that my mind is strong so next life I make it easier for myself? Every virtue we master this life, it's already done next life. We don't have to work on it next life. And we know this. I work with Shishya Vihar and we see the kids in Shishya Vihar. Shishya Vihar, they're 1 year old. They come for class at even 1 year old. And you see clearly, I tell this story often, there were these twin girls that came to the Shishya Vihar class. And one of them, when we finished Aarti, usually you have to bow down, then come and get prasad. But this little girl in Shishya Vihar, you don't, they're 1 year old, you can't be too disciplined. So she came running up to me and put 2 hands out to get her prasad. And it's not like prasad is that exciting. It will be strawberry, blueberry, something like that, because we don't give any candy in Shishya Vihar. And so also their hands are so small, like 2 blueberries and their hand is full. So I put, because she was so energetic and excited and looking at me with these urgent big eyes, so like, okay, here, take. She took both handfuls and ran to her sister and gave her sister. Both handfuls. And then I was waiting that she'll come back for hers. She didn't come back for hers. And what did the sister do? Ate. How can, at a 1 year old already, that immense selflessness? And learned it last life. You see already at 1 year old, if the mother says you can eat one, they'll eat one, they pack the rest away. And then you see others, they eat one and then they look at you and how come this difference? Discipline was learned last life. One means one, done. What's your goal? What are you mastering this life so that next life you don't have to work on it? You have to decide. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Even if we are not thinking moksha this life, we should still be walking in that direction. The goal should be that His name only falls out of my mouth. You said, we know people that even at night when they're turning in their bed, they saying, He Ram, Krishna, Vaheguru. Anything happens in their life when the first thing that comes out of their mouth, Om Namah Shivaya. If they get angry and they want to scream at someone, Om Namah Shivaya. Walk away. We know. Is that a goal? Is that your goal? Is that what's going to come out of your mouth? Ananyas chintayanto mam. Your goal is, there's no other thought than Him. Actually, we can just stay in constant gratitude for His grace in our life. Ananyas chintayanto mam, maybe I am doing japa all the time. And I don't have time, but it's a really cute story, so I'm going to tell you all. In Hong Kong, the ISKCON temple is the next building from our temple. And ISKCON devotees will also wear a sari, and they'll put their tilak. And they always have their japamala pouch. And I always get so happy to see them. And they usually, in Hong Kong, the ISKCON devotees are all Chinese. There isn't a single Indian in the ISKCON temple there. They're all Chinese. And so the Swamis and and so it's hilarious because I met one of them down the ashram because two buildings, right? We're on the parallel buildings and we were going to the train station. And so I said, Hari Bol, and they look at me. And then they look me up and down like this. And there's such disapproval on their face because I'm not carrying my japamala. Whereas they always have their japamala on them. And it's like they look at me like, oh, fake. But look at their commitment to be chanting. If I'm not speaking, if I'm not doing anything else, I am just continuously the whole day. If I have to work, I work. If I'm not doing work, I'm chanting. So when they walking on the road, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. But it's not just doing japa. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam is, I can feel, this is happening His grace, this is happening gratitude to Him. I can see His beauty, His power, His intelligence all around me. And I worship by, we saw earlier, Kirtayam and Bhajante is to be a reflection of His glory. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. In so many different ways, we can fill our mind with Him. I know somebody who, whenever I talk to them, they quote Guruji to me. Every 2 sentences is a quote of Guruji. So we're talking about this and that, but Guruji said this, and Guruji said that, and Guruji, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Satsang, remembering snippets of wisdom that Guru has spoken, relating it to everything we're talking about, whether it be food or clothing or logistics or arranging. And in the Gita it is said this, in this story it is said this, and filling our mind and our heart with His presence, Ananya Chintayanto Mam. And you know, when our minds are filled with loving Him, adoring Him, we won't be worried about next meal. And even sometimes we'll be like, how are we going to get all of this done? There's so much to do in a short time. And then if I get lost in thinking about Him, it all just gets done. And it's like thinking about Him will reduce the stress so significantly, increase the efficiency so immensely, but most of all, fill with joy and love. Love is so strengthening. When we think of Him with love, we become strong. We become nice. When we love, we become nice. If I'm stressed, I'm not nice. I forget to be nice. So, to be steadfast. This verse is a reminder that progress only happens when we are consistent. And this is true with anything. When the kids are in school and they read every day, then they progress in their ability to read. When we go to gym and we're going regularly, then we get good at whatever it is we are doing at the gym. Bicycle, treadmill, weights. If you're consistent with practicing like Toastmaster and speaking, and you're consistent at it, you excel at that. And if you learn to cook and then you're consistent at practicing, you become proficient at that. Nitya upasate. Be consistent. If Bhagavan is the goal, we can't wake up one day and decide we'll think of him all day. It has to be built up. And we have to be consistent in our effort. There has to be regular doses of satsang, regular doses of any kind of worship that we do. But without the satsang, the inspiration becomes harder. And so the regular doses of satsang helps us to stay inspired in our japa, in our reading, in our vratas, in our yatras. It helps us to remember the purpose of it. And even if you're going to Kumbh and you're doing your snan, it's so easy to be doing the snan thinking it's dirty or thinking it's cold. And then you're not doing snan. You have to be remembering Bhagwan Shiva and Gangaji flowing from Shivji's head, and I am being bathed by that knowledge that flows from Shivji's head, and then it's snan. And I am being purified by him because he is purifying. It's not like I am getting away with anything, it's his glory that he is purifying. And so with the right attitude, satsang helps us to have that right attitude and that right perspective. And satsang is that reminder of how to do it in a way where it stays meaningful to us. And so to be consistent in our effort. When we stop being consistent in our effort, whatever was built up slightly dissipates. We know this. If you're exercising and then you stop, that muscle once again grows weak. All our virtues and values are muscles. Discipline is a muscle. Don't use it, it grows weak. Forgiveness is a quality we have to remind ourselves to keep doing. Patience, we have to keep doing. Courage, we have to keep doing. It has to be consistent effort. And so, ananyas chintayanto ma means don't falter. Ananya means like no other. And Gurudev will talk about how Bhagwan's a jealous lover, you're not allowed to love anyone else. But it also means, ananyas is don't let go. Like once you've started on this path, don't let go. All that effort you put in and it has accumulated and has grown, don't let go. Nothing is ever wasted. Everything we do will bear results. But when we build on it and build on it and build the momentum of that, it makes it easy after a point. I remember reading that, imagine if you had to fill up the Grand Canyon. I actually haven't been to the Grand Canyon, but it's huge, right? And it's very deep. And if you had to fill it up using just small, small pebbles, it would take your whole life. And then if that's the task, then just keep dropping one, keep dropping one, keep dropping one, keep dropping one. And if after a while momentum takes place, then just the sound vibrations create the rest of the place to shake, and then boulders start falling in. And so from my small, small, small effort, he helps. And then large leaps of progress get made. But when we are consistent, His grace is always there. He's waiting to help us. But we have to put in regular, consistent, sincere effort. Yeah. We'll do one more verse. Verse number 23. Chapter 9 is reassuring. And so here, Bhagavan says, if we strive with sincerity, if we strive with faith, then even if we make mistakes, we grow. He brings us back to Him. And also, that even if we start off in the wrong place with misunderstandings, we get guided to Him. You know, there was this story I had heard once. This thief was escaping because the alarms all sounded in the house, and he was running away to escape from being caught by the police for trying to steal. So as he's running, he passes by, and some sadhu had hung his clothes to dry on a tree. So usually they have two sets of clothes, one they wearing, one they wash, and then they dry. So it was hanging on the tree to dry, and that sadhu wasn't there. The clothes were drying, and his kamandalu was there. So the police are chasing him. He thought, I'm not going to be able to outrun them. He took this cloth, and he tied it around, and he took the kamandalu, and he started walking saying, Narayan, Narayan. And then he reaches some intersection in the city, and an elderly couple, a wife and a husband, had decided, enough we have indulged in life, children are all now very settled, we need to find a guru, and we need to find Bhagwan. And so they left the house, and this thief was walking past, and they thought, look, we said we wanted to find a guru, and straight away Bhagwan has sent one to us. And so they run out of the house and they hold his feet. Now he can't walk because they holding his feet. And they saying, Guruji, Guruji, our bhagya that you have come just at the right time when we want to uplift our mind, please guide us. And he said, no, I'm not your Guruji, you mistaken, you please go find someone else. And then immediately they started crying, no, we are sincere, we definitely want Bhagwan, don't test us like this, our yearning is true, Guruji, please guide us. And the more he told them to go, the more they thought that Bhagwan is testing their resolve, and the tighter they hold on to him, and you only have to guide us. We can't get that highest knowledge without Guru, and you have come, and when we asked Bhagwan for guidance, you only came, so you only our Guruji. And so now he thought, I'm not going to get out of this. So he thought what to say to them. So he said, sit here, back straight, eyes closed, and chant Om Namah Shivaya till Bhagwan comes to free you. They sat. They closed their eyes, and they started chanting Om Namah Shivaya. Now who gave this instruction? Thief. The minute they sat and closed their eyes, he ran away. But they were sincere, and they with faith chanted Om Namah Shivaya. They chanted and chanted and chanted and chanted. Weeks have passed, and their body is starting to feel the effects because they're not used to doing tapas. And so Shivji appears and says, please open your eyes, I'm here to give you darshan. And they didn't open their eyes. And they said, how will we know you really, Shivji? How will we know if this is not Maya tricking us? Guruji didn't tell us how we'll know. Because we've all heard stories when Gautam Buddha sat to meditate, all the Maya came in different forms, and then how will we know this is not our mind? So they wouldn't open their eyes. Shivji had to go and find that chore. Bring the chore in front of them. And then he has to say, this verse, Bhagavan is saying, when we are sincere and we think, how will we know what's the right thing? If you're sincere, you just do. Bhagavan will guide you to the right thing. And here he says so clearly, it doesn't matter which form you pray to, it will come to me. ISKCON is very cute. They'll say it doesn't matter who you pray to, the prayers go to Krishna. So all you people in Jakarta praying to Ganesh Ji, it's going to Krishna. But what Krishna means is there's only one truth. And so whichever form you pray to, it goes to that one truth. Not Ganeshji, not Krishna, not Devi, not Jesus, not Allah, it just goes to that one truth. But whatever name you use, Bhagavan will come to you in that form. For as long as you need the form. And so here, there's this, just start. My sincerity is what will bring me what's right for me. Even in terms of, do I need someone who's more bhakti, I need someone who's more Gyana, someone who's more... And this is always, I always say this, if Gurudev didn't speak in English, because I don't speak Sanskrit, I don't speak Hindi. How would I have learnt this? Why did Gurudev have to speak in in English? Because so many of us wanted this knowledge and we only understood. Yeah. And so if we are sincere, Bhagavan will send. And likewise, there was in Hong Kong, there was a very sweet Japanese lady who used to come so regularly to my classes. And then she had to move back to Japan and she stayed in touch. She found a Japanese-speaking Swami teaching Advaita Vedanta who is indirectly a student of Swami Chinmayananda. Why? She was sincere in her seeking. And so Bhagavan will send in the language you need, in the geography you need. And make him your goal and he'll take care of everything else. But make him your goal. And effort has to be put in. You put in little, just watch, you'll see it yourself. You put in little effort, see how he comes running to you. You just have to want. I heard Gita for the first time and I yearned to be able to hear more. It was before smartphones and YouTube and modern technology being able to. Those days you had audio cassettes. And not many were recorded in those days. And then Swamiji got posted to Melbourne. You want with sincerity, he will send exactly what you need. Make him your goal. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukhabhag bhavet, asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, Mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Swamini Ji.